Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a mod build guide for the Guardian Fighter in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a tanky subclass mod made by TheWailingBard. It's now available on console. I'll be taking you through everything. It's for protecting your team. You use a shield, you can absorb damage that your team would normally be dishing out, and it has a lot of different abilities which we'll be covering in this video, all the way up to level 20, but I'll also cover level 12 build in this. Now at our level 1 fighting style, we're obviously going to take defense for the +1 to our armor class. And we're going to go with a stat spread of 16 strength with 16 constitution for just survivability and 14 dexterity. Now, if you prefer going with higher dexterity and actually go with a high dex build with Father Alluve, which is a defensive sword from Act 1, you can also then put your points into dexterity and wear the armor of agility for the highest possible armor class value. Level 2, we get Action Surge, and I also want to mention that the Guardian subclass is made by LaserLlama. Now, the Wailing Bard has covered them in the past. They make a lot of really fun subclasses that are homebrewed. The Guardian here, your strength shine with the fighting side by side with your allies. Shield in hand, alone, a Guardian is a small threat, but when fighting alongside others, you form impenetrable walls of steel. So you get the Warrior Smith, you maintain your arms, and armor to defend your allies better. Your armor class is increased by 1 so long as you're wearing armor and a shield. It was a good visible aura to see our Guardian stance while in combat. It's really nice that they include this as well. And we get the Guardian stance here, so we can enter the stance. When you're in the stance, your movement speed is reduced by 3 meters, but allies within 3 meters will get a +1 to armor class. Additionally, you can use your reaction to take the damage when those within that range are attacked, and you may use your shield to bash the enemy. So this is really nice. This is kind of the core way this build is used. It's just to protect your teammates. Now, the heavy armor master actually kind of makes some sense here because this can give you reduced damage while we're wearing heavy armor. If you want to go that route, that can be pretty nice. And as mentioned, Father Alluve is a finesse weapon, so you can actually use the defensive duelist here to add a proficiency bonus to your armor class as a reaction. This makes you also kind of tanky. It's a choice. I'm just going to go with the increase either our health stat or if we win in strength. I'm going dexterity here because I like the dexterity builds. But alert is another really good feat too that you can roll with because the +5 to initiative just means that we can move first in combat and protect our allies. Level 5 gives us our extra attack here. There's actually some fun combinations of weapons that we can use here. I'll be showing off in the combat section of this, or the combat and gear section of this video. We do get extra feats though. This is the nice thing about the fighter. Shield Master is another feat that's kind of funny, although it does eat up our reaction that I'd almost prefer to use on something like the Sentinel. This can be fun to be able to reduce spell damage. I do think that Sentinel is the better choice here if we want to be more of like a teammate to protect our team. Polar Master and Sentinel is a good combination, but even just Sentinel works well here. Now, once we get to level 7, we get our Rallying Wind subclass. So you inspire others to hold positions against all odds. When you use Second Wind while in your Guardian stance, allies within 3 meters get 7 temporary health. So you can bolster their resolve as well. Level 8 gives us another feat choice here. I always like Savage Attacker on fighters because they have 3 attacks, and re-rolling your damage die is always going to be nice. Lucky can also be good because this can help out with protecting you and increasing your saving throws. Not bad when you're a tanky character like this. I actually think that the Lucky feat is honestly an underrated pick here. An ability score improvement on your dex or strength is also good, however. We just get a lot of feats, so we can utilize it. Now, I'll also talk a little bit later at higher levels about another combination we can use. And we get Indomitable. Lucky actually is really good alongside Indomitable because we can either use Lucky or Indomitable depending on the situation and the role that we have, because it's going to pause the reaction, interrupt us, and tell us what the roles were. But level 10 gives us our Stalwart Defender. You're the strongest when standing side by side, shield by shield, with your allies. Your armor class is increased by 1 for every ally within 3 meters of you. If you're using the expanded party size mod, you can get this going pretty crazy. Additionally, while in your Guardian stance, you cannot be moved against your will or knocked prone. This is great because then you can stand at the edge of like a globe of vulnerability and tank hard for your team. Or if you have advantage on strength and constitution saving throws for everyone that's in with 3 meters of you. Pretty nice. Alert Guardian here as well. You enter combat immediately entering your Guardian stance as long as you're not surprised. So you don't have to spend time going into the Guardian stance and wasting resources for that. Level 11, improved extra attack. This is when the fighter becomes crazy. I mean, they're always crazy, but even crazier. Level 12 gives us another choice in feat. At this point, maxing your strength or constitution is good. You can go with max constitution as you're going to be taking hits from the team. I went with dexterity there to boost our armor class with the armor that I'll be showing, but if you're not going to wear medium armor, you can spec on strength. Going into past level 12, you do get a subclass feature here. We do get more feats as well. And if we want to be a melee attacker, Savage Attacker is great, which will reroll our damage die. But my personal preference is actually kind of funny here. There's a specific weapon that actually helps us a lot with offsetting some of the downsides to this subclass. I like to take Nyrolna with Tavern Brawler because you can throw it And we have to use a strength potion here to get crazy damage because it's going to give us, with the strength potion, a +8, which is doubled for +16 to attack and damage rolls. Most busted ability in the game. If you want to make this an offensive powerhouse, that's the way to do it. You do have to watch it for friendly fire, which is kind of against what this build is about, but you can be smart with LaserLlama. It has an extra damage die, and you can just do melee attacks with it. What's great about that is if you have a teammate that's got the ballast armor on, you can also use Tavern Brawler to pick off far away enemies, but then attack close range with those that are going to get the double damage off piercing because of the ballast armor. So the ballast armor is really great as a accessory to this build because of the piercing damage. We can kind of make this work for long ranges as well. But if you don't want to do that, you can go with the defensive duelist or the ability score improvement. Only use defensive duelist if you're going to use a finesse weapon. Level 15 gives us the improved stance. So when you're in your guardian stance, your boost to allies armor class increases to +2, and they get a +2 to dexterity saving throws. It's pretty nice because, again, you're keeping them safe. Dexterity saves are things like Fireball and Lightning Bolt. Level 16 gives us yet another feat. Tough is amazing for giving 2 health per level. Since we're going to level 20, that's 40 extra health, huge resource boost. Level 17 gives us Indomitable 3, letting us reroll saving throws multiple times. Really good. Level 18 gives us the Legendary Guardian. You are near supernatural strength, ready to defend the weak. The range of all your Guardian features increases to those within 6 meters. Really nice because 3 meters is kind of hard to work within. 6 meters, much better. Level 19 gives us our last feat. If you don't want to take the Savage Attacker or an ability score improvement, Defensive Duelist, you then have the Heavy Armor Master there. It's really the only other option that I would recommend if you didn't want to go with an ability score increase. I'm going to go with the boosted dex, as that just gives us a higher overall initiative in armor class. And level 20 gives us that improved extra attack for 4 attacks. And the outfit that I got on is from the Knights and Dames mod. All right, so here's a pretty silly build. We get 28 armor class here. You can see +1 defense, +1 defense. For some reason, the fighting style defense works twice with the Helldusk armor. So yippee, the best armor in the game gets even better. You don't have to use this though. If you're going to use the medium armor, you can go with the armor of agility here because this gives a +2 to saving throws. Although we have Indomitable, it will keep our armor class at 28. So these are pretty much equal at this point, but I like this one better. This is actually a bit better because it gives you 3 less damage from all sources. And when you succeed a saving throw, the caster receives burning for 3 turns, which is crazy. We also get the Holy Lance Helm because the target will take 1 to 4 radiant damage if they miss us with an attack because we have a high armor class. And this is kind of a way of debuffing the enemies to protect our team even further. I went with a silly kind of build. This is going to be using light cleric typically gear, using the coruscation gear. I guess this is one we wouldn't always be using, but this will proc out Booming Blade. We want to have the Callous Glow Ring. It gives us 2 additional points of damage against targets that are illuminated, which is radiant damage, which will proc the Luminous Gloves. The Holy Lance Helm will then again proc that. So this all comes together and then boosted Stormy Clamor. The reason this is good is because if we're standing beside our allies, we can apply Threatened on an enemy. And Threatened is a condition which will apply the reverberation. So sometimes when an enemy walks towards us when we wear these boots, they just end up falling on the floor, losing their turn immediately. Because when you go prone, you lose your turn. So this can be really good for a variety of reasons. You can also surround spellcasters and force them to go prone, which can break concentrations. This all just synergizes really well because we're protecting our team. Radiating Orbs basically gives it so the enemy they receive a minus to their attack rolls equal to the amount of turns remaining. It applies 2 per radiant damage, which we're going to apply really commonly. And then it just keeps the enemies from hitting our teammates. Alternatively, if we're not using LaserLlama, which I mentioned for Tavern Brawler, because you can throw this and it'll return to your hand and it does thunder damage in an area of effect. And this also gives us a boost to our movement speed and jump distance. So we get our movement speed back from using our stand. The Sacred Star is another really nice weapon because this will apply Radiating Orb on hit, and it also does extra radiant damage, which will proc even further Radiating Orbs. So if you don't want to do the throwing build with LaserLlama there, you can also just do this build, but it's entirely up to you between these two. Flail of the Ages, and the Defender's Flail to increase armor class to 29 is also nice. I'm actually going to use the Sacred... I won't do a throwing build for this. This is more defensive. This is probably the best defensive weapon for the team because it's going to be procking all of our gear. I also went with Viconia's Walking Fortress. You're going to obviously need a shield for this. This just gives you advantage on saving throws against spells. It's the best shield in the game, so obviously we're going to put it on there. It's just a good one. And Hellrider Longbow for that +2 to our initiative rolls so that we go first. So I have the Visible Aura on, so you can see exactly how far away you're going to be affecting your teammates. This is smart because you can then be strategic with where you're going to protect your allies. We do have reduced movement speed, which is fine. We also have a bash ability here, which you can bash a target and knock them prone, which is pretty effective. Now, the thing is, we want to get in and start applying Radiating Orbs because it's going to help protect our team. So just going in right away with an attack here. We apply 3 stacks per attack there, so that's pretty good. If I had the luminous armor on, that would be even better. I probably should have thrown the luminous armor on there. Because a few attacks, you're able to fully apply the radiating orb so that they're not going to be able to hit your team. Then we also have the Dawnburst Strike here, which can do even further, and it's great if there's multiple enemies in this area because it does give you a big area of effect and will splash the extra radiant damage on. So that target now has 9 radiating orbs on them. What's funny is you can proc them to miss. He saved off Smite the Greatless, but our hat will actually hit enemies too, so it's pretty effective. Now, another thing we can do is if we want to apply it to multiple enemies at a time, I'm not using LaserLlama, which we normally would have done for that. You can shoot an arrow of many targets. If I had the luminous armor on, this would have probably applied a lot more. I really should have put that on for this build instead of the high armor class, because you kind of want your armor class lower so that it does end up making the enemies attack your team. But we have action surge. We have a lot of tricks up our sleeves as far as fighters go. You can also use an aura or a bloodlust potion if you're not using a strength potion. We unfortunately got a critical miss, but we got lucky, so we can always re-roll that and make it a hit eventually. So that's good. I like it for the turning the attack rolls into attacks because we can actually defend a lot of things with our reactions. So we got a lot of good options. Now, basically, our first turn of combat is trying to hit as many targets as possible to be able to accidentally drink a potion there or put on poison, the purple worm toxin. But the cool thing is you can actually spread the toxin multiple targets with an arrow mini targets as well. But the main thing that we want to be doing is getting the radiating orbs on multiple enemies there. I'm actually using a mod that turned off all the lights, so that's why I'm not proccing radiating orbs. I just realized that I have a night mode mod on, which does change how lighting works. All right, so here we can show the reaction. Guardian stance take damage. Shadowheart's about to get shot. I can save that by taking the damage that she would have, and she still got hit a little bit. So yeah, that's an area of effect spell for you. So you just gotta watch out for whatever you're getting hit with. All right, that's actually a perfect demonstration of what can happen. Multiple poison and radiant damage there somehow. Oh, that's the toxin. So basically the helmet base, they attacked me and missed. The helmet did a bit of radiant damage and then it procced a bunch of different damage riders to pop and then it took them out. And the toxin was also on top of it. Jeez, poor Minsk. I don't know what's going on here. But again, as a guardian, we got to always protect any of our teammates that are getting hit. So we're going to go over and protect Shadowheart here by attacking them and applying a bit of radiating orbs. This should be putting way more radiating orbs on the enemy. I completely forgot that I'm not proccing any of my gear because it's nighttime. I'm doing some screenshots for my own mod, which is going to be screenshots are being taken at nighttime. So I actually was able to apply prone from reverberation there, which is kind of funny. Now, I always like to have arrows of humanoid slaying for situations like this where I don't want to expend multiple attacks on one target. I was able to proc a bit of radiant damage there, but yeah, this nighttime mod is actually messing with this particular setup. We would be protecting our team much better. Just watch out for any type of spellcasters, as that's kind of your main weakness. So you want to be highlighting them first. I'm unfortunately not applying very many radiating orbs because they're illuminated weirdly enough by that street sign. But yeah, it is messed with. Arrows of ice are also nice on a build like this because we can create little like pockets where they will end up slipping and it redirects the enemy's AI to attack a bit differently. But yeah, basically we want to be sticking near our teammates. So investing in strength potions, throwing LaserLlama, and also using arrows and maybe even the Titan string bow is really good because this lets you stay where your teammates are. And if you've got like a lot of casters on your team, you're likely going to want to be sticking to the back lines to protect them and wanting the enemies to come towards you. The toxin is really nice though, and again, using arrow of many targets to apply that to multiple enemies multiple times is pretty sweet. Because then they'll take the poison damage and it just ends up taking them out really quickly. So that was proc 3 times on them and they just blew up and the other person blew up too. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. I didn't realize how good the worm toxin was in that situation, but you can do some pretty crazy stuff. All about protecting our teammates. So defensive guardian stance there. We can use this to get ourselves into that. Radiating orbs is just one of the best ways to protect your team if you want to be more of a defensive character. So you can combine both of these. Very fun class. TheWailingBard did a great job adapting LaserLlama subclass. If you enjoyed this, please hit the subscribe button below. Hope you guys all have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.